Hey guys, before we get into today's episode, I did want to give a brief trigger warning that some of the stories and riddles that we go over talk about suicide and mental instabilities and that sort of thing in these detective riddles. So I just want to put that out there. If you do get triggered by that sort of thing or just don't want to listen to that type of thing, I highly recommend to click off the episode now and to just tune in next week. All right, let's get into the episode. Hey, you, and welcome to the podcast. It's fun. It's fun podcasting. And we also have the video version going on. Hey, guys. I'm waving at you in case you're listening and not watching. And you, in fact, should be watching if you go over to the Hey You Podcast YouTube channel at the link in the description, since we don't have a custom URL yet. Once we get up to the number of required subscribers, then we can have the fancy YouTube URL. But until then, you just gotta use the complicated one in the description. So go ahead, check on out the video in the description box in case you would like to watch me talk instead of listening to me talk, whatever's convenient for you. Today's podcast, I thought I would. Okay, this sounds kind of crazy. So I I feel like I'm still in Halloween spirits and Halloween mode because I've been really into like the scary stories. I've been into like murder mysteries and like like I've always liked that sort of stuff. Just because like I always thought it was like fun to like solve and like I love like I love escape rooms. Like I love that sort of thing. And like I've just been like extra in it. It might be because of like not having like a true Halloween plus the pandemic and like everything that's going on and like plus just like stress. That's something that I know that won't stress me out. Like I'm thinking that it's just like a whole like plethora of all those things together. But I thought today we would listen to some murder mysteries that you guys also get to solve. At the end of we'll be going over 7 murder I guess they're not all murders. They're just mystery. They're riddles. They're like riddles for like if you're like a detective, you can do it. I'm stealing off of all of these off of an article from American Escape Rooms called Seven Mystery Riddles Only a True Detective Can Solve. I will put a link to this article because I want to give credit where it's deserved. These are not mine. I'll put a link to it in the description box. So if you guys want to read the article or listen along or check out more stuff that the American Escape Rooms has, feel free to do so. This episode is not sponsored, but I just wanted to put that out there since this is their handiwork and hard work, not mine. All right. But I'm thinking before we get there, I wanted to kind of maybe this will become a segment, but just give you a quick little life update about me. So I am a college student. For those of you that are new to the podcast, I am a freshman college student studying theater arts management. And I'm going through regular life, figuring out how to adult, and podcasting about it. So I thought I would give, life update of the day. I am nearing the end of the semester. I have about a month, a little less than a month now. So I guess that's something to look forward to. Um, there's essentially after Thanksgiving break is kind of when finals stuff start to arise. I literally just felt like I heard something. Sorry for those of you that are listening. Mean like, did I just lose my audio? No, you didn't. I could have sworn I just heard something, but I think maybe I'm going crazy. Anyway, we'll ignore it for now. If we hear it again, then maybe we'll pause and come back. Um, but yeah, finals are coming up. But I think to like give an update and to like say yay. And for those of you that are also like, regardless of what age you are, if you are finishing up a semester or like if you're in, primary regular education and you are finishing up, up to winter break. Like, you guys should all give yourself a round of applauses and pat on the backs. Like, I know I'm gonna give myself one, because right now we are in a situation that is not ordinary, and the fact that we are making the best of the situation, and we are, like, we're doing something, we're actively, getting an education, bettering ourselves, and like doing all this stuff, like, that's something that we should definitely reward ourselves for. So please give yourself a pat on the back, even if you're, a senior in college, or even like, maybe like you're 40 years old and you're just finishing up a master's degree that you always wanted to get, or a doctorate, or whatever. Give yourself the pat on the back, because it's not easy to do it during this time. I know there are several times with me where I am constantly unmotivated, and the fact that I am still at school and I'm still doing schoolwork and such amazes me, and it's something that I should definitely, like, I should acknowledge, and something that I should be like, yeah, I did do that. So my life update is that I'm finishing out my semester, and hopefully we're going to finish it out strong. All right. Without further ado, let's get into some mysteries. So these aren't scary stories. I was thinking maybe like murder mysteries is what I would do. And that's and I thought I did. But these aren't all murder mysteries. Some of these are just, just like detectives. So I want everyone to put on your detective hats, and I want everyone to bring out your inner detective and to utilize it to solve these mysteries. I will read each story, and then I will let you guys know and give you guys a brief, like, 5-second period. And then you can pause the podcast during that time if you want more time to think about it, or go back and replay any segment. And then I will reveal the answer. All right. So the first murder mystery is called Unsolved Mysteries of the Serial Killer. An unidentified man in the local town kidnaps people and demands them to take one of the two pills that he offers. The pills look identical, but the killer claims that only one is poisonous. When a victim chooses a pill, the killer takes the remaining one. The victims always die after swallowing the tablet with water. How does the killer manage to get the safe pill every time? Take a moment, think about it. And actually, in fact, I have not read these yet, so I think I'm going to guess also with you guys. My guess is that maybe the killer is taking it without water, and water is what, like, activates the chemicals. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is, the riddle is easy to solve if you look at it from a different angle. As it turns out, the poison is not in the pills, but in the glass of water that the victim drinks. Okay, I was close. And hopefully you guys were close too. If you got it, like, damn, like, seriously, credits to you. I don't think I would have gotten it. And I, like, I got water part. I knew it had something to do with water. Okay, on to the next one. The next one is called Breaking Out of Jail. Think you are a champion at solving unsolved mysteries? See if you can figure out the answer to this one. Accused of stealing the farmer's chickens, Jack is locked up in an empty room in the local jail. His cell has a dirt floor and is completely void of any accessories except for a shovel. There is a window overlooking the hills outside. Jack is determined to break out and prove his innocence, but the window is too high to reach. How can he escape? Note that digging a tunnel is not a feasible option because the ground beneath the dirt is rock hard. Jack doesn't have the energy to dig through it as he is deprived of food and water. How can he break out? Give you guys a quick little second. Okay, I had an idea, but I don't think it's actually gonna work. My idea was like maybe he can like make a hill, like people make like sand castles and stuff. Like maybe he can make like a dirt hill that he can like climb up of. That's my guess. Let's see what it actually is. It is. Jack needs to use the shovel to make a pile of dirt that helps him reach the window. He can then climb onto the pile and easily escape the cell. Killing it. I know this seems like I have read it. I swear I've not read any of these answers. I just really like being like doing the detective work. All right. The next one is called The Stolen Bracelet. Right. A woman named Kathy goes to the police claiming that someone broke into her house and stole her diamond bracelet while she was at work. The policemen investigate the crime scene and notice that the bedroom window is broken. There are muddy footprints all across the bedroom floor. However, the room is otherwise neat and organized. The following day, Kathy is arrested for fraud. Can you figure out why? Give you guys a couple seconds. Okay, this one is hard. This one's actually hard for me. The only thing I can think of is if like maybe the police like match footprints of like one of her shoes to her like like her shoes to like the muddy footprints. That's the only thing I can maybe think of. Or if they like actually like found the bracelet, it was like where it was supposed to be. Okay, the answer is Kathy was convicted of fraud because the bedroom window was broken from the inside. If somebody had broken in from the outside, there would have been glass pieces on the bedroom floor. Also, the room was perfectly tidy, which means that the so-called thief didn't search for items and knew exactly where the bracelet was. Okay, point taken. I didn't think about that. I was just thinking like maybe like she had OCD and like she couldn't get rid of the mud stains. So it's just like, oh, like it's just there because like she couldn't clean them out. But like she was trying to like clean up everything else. That's why it was tidy. Duh. That makes a lot more sense. All right. The next one is called The Old Woman Who Lived Alone. An elderly woman lived alone in her house by the suburbs. She rarely left the house and knew only a few people. One Friday morning, the mailman called out for the woman but didn't receive a prompt answer as usual. Upon peeking in through the window, the mailman realized that the woman was murdered. The police investigated the house and found Tuesday's newspaper by the dead body. Also, by the door outside, there were 3 unopened bottles of milk, one of which had gone bad. The police arrested the killer the very next day. How did they figure out so quickly? How did they figure it out so quickly? Give you guys a couple of seconds to create your guesses. Okay, the only thing that I can think of is that it's the mailman. Just because, like, I feel like the mailman would see the milk. I just don't think it's like, it says Tuesdays. Oh, Tuesday. It's Tuesday paper, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that means she had to be dead on Tuesday because on Friday morning, the mailman saw her. There were 3 unopened bottles of milk. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Unless like milk hadn't been like delivered yet. Oh, I have no idea. My guess is the mailman did it because he's the one who would see her every single day. Let's see. The mailman killed the old woman because the newspapers for Wednesday and Thursday weren't found in or outside the house. This means he knew there would be no one to read them. He tried to trick the police by reporting the crime himself, but turns out he isn't too smart at creating riddles after all. What'd I tell you? Expert. If any police station needs a detective, please feel free to leave a voicemail at the number below, 571-719-7658. And in fact, if you are a listener and not a policeman or a police chief, you can actually leave me a voicemail and we can communicate via text and we can relate with each other and we can talk. I've enjoyed the conversations that I've had with a bunch of you already, and I would love to hear from a lot more of you and increase our community. All right. The next story is called Friend Turned Foe. Amy goes to her friend Maria's house on a wintry evening only to find her dead. When the police learn about the incident, they question Amy how she found out. Amy says that she knocked on the door and rang the bell repeatedly since the light was on in one of the rooms. Amy knew Maria must be home and decided to look through the window. The windows were frozen, so she breathed on the iced glass, and that's when she noticed Maria's body on the floor. The police suspect Amy is the murderer. Sorry. Are they correct? Or is it just one of those riddles with no definite answers? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. Okay. I honestly have no idea. Since the light on was I'm going to say this doesn't have a definite answer because I don't think there's enough evidence. That's my guess. Amy can't possibly get a clear view of the room from outside. This is because it's hard to unfreeze an iced glass by breathing, as its opposite surface is usually icy too. Oh, so Amy probably did it because she can't just like go like and then see her. Okay, that makes sense. See, when they said icy glass, I don't know if they meant like, oh, like when it's like cold and you just have to like wipe it and like stuff, or like if it was literally like I guess they did say iced glass, so it probably like, you know, like actual ice. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. The next one is called Deadly Chemicals. A renowned chemist is found dead in his lab. There was no clear evidence except a piece of paper lying by the body. The paper is blank other than the name of 5 elements scrawled across it hastily: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, and sulfur. The guard reported that 3 people visited the chemist that day: his sister, Lania, his colleague, Nicholas, and his wife, Teresa. The criminal was arrested immediately. Who was it? My guess is that it's Teresa, just because Lania sounds like lanthanum, and Nicholas sounds like nickel. Teresa doesn't sound like any of them, so I'm gonna go with Teresa, the wife. It's always the wife. The list of chemicals had a clue. Their abbreviations spell out the murderer's name. Oh. Ni, nickel, C, carbon, O, oxygen, La, lanthanum, and S, sulfur, spelling out Nicholas. Damn. I wish I was that clever. Like, to be like, oh, okay, it's gotta, okay, oh my God. Like, first of all, how did he have enough time to write all of that? That's my first thing. But then also to be like, oh, I gotta make this intricate: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, sulfur. And like also if like the detectives are like me and they're like dumb and like don't know this type of thing, like imagine how many times this might be like oh, I can't solve it. Why are these chemicals what killed him? No, there's no trace of these in his system. Then why was he working on any experiments with this? Nah, everything was fine. Like I would not get it. I'm just saying. Okay. The seventh one and the last one for this first half of the episode is called The Murder at High School. The science teacher at Jefferson High School is murdered on the first day of the academic year. The police narrow down to the suspects to 4 members of the school: the gardener, the coach, the math teacher, and the principal. However, they all have alibis. The gardener says he was trimming the bushes. The coach says he was playing basketball. The math teacher says he was conducting a mid-year test. The principal says he was in a meeting. The police had no trouble in arresting the person guilty of the crime. Who do you think was the murderer? Oh, it has to be the math teacher. He's conducting a mid-year test on the first day of school. Oh, I just realized I didn't give you time to think. I'm sorry. I might not be right. That would just be my guess because mid-year, how would you take like I understand if it's like a, what's it called? I forget what they're called. Like a diagnostic test, but like a mid-year test on the first day of school seems sus. I haven't revealed it yet, so I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think about yours. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. The police arrested the math teacher because apparently he was taking a mid-year test on the first day of school. Boom. All right, guys. And on that note, we are actually going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to read some more mysterious riddles. And we're back. For those of you that are watching the video portion, or not portion, the video of this episode, you will notice that my camera quality has gone down a little bit, and that's because I am using my computer webcam rather than an actual camera. So I'm sorry about that for that discrepancy. But let's get in with some more stories. These next riddles are from Reader's Digest. And you can see these riddles also at the link below. I want to give credit. These are not mine. The article is titled 12 Detective Riddles Only the Smartest People Can Solve. Just wanted to reiterate again, these are not my riddles. I'm reading them and I'm trying to get through them with you. All right. Next one is Empty Cell Mystery. Andy is put in a cell with a dirt floor and only one window. The window is too high for him to reach. The only thing wait, is this the same one that we just read? He'll be able to get any food or water and only has 2 days to escape or he'll die. Andy can't dig a tunnel because it'll take him much longer than 2 days to do it. How will Andy escape from the cell? I would say the same, build a pile. Yeah, and he's, okay, we already did this one. Okay. The next one is titled Poisonous Drinks. Marissa and Juliana went out for drinks together. They ordered the same drink. Juliana was really thirsty and finished 5 in the time it took Marissa to finish 1. The drinks were poisoned, but only Marissa died. How? Her 1 was poisoned over time. Oh. Okay, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think. Okay, my guess is either like hers was just poisoned. Or like maybe like something like over time, or like her glass was rimmed. I know there was one about glass last time. Answer. The poison was in the ice. Since Marissa's ice had time to melt, she was poisoned, but Juliana wasn't. Okay. The next one is called Suicide or Not. A dead female body lies at the bottom of a multi-story building. It looks as though she committed suicide by jumping from one of the floors. When the detective arrives, he goes to the first floor of the building, opens the closed window, and flips a coin towards the floor. He goes to the second floor and does the exact same thing. He continues to do this until he gets to the top floor of the building. When he comes back down, he states that it was a murder and not a suicide. How does he know that? Give you guys a couple seconds to think. All right. Well, I think one obvious answer is that he maybe killed the person at the bottom of the multi-story building. It might also maybe like from like when the coin goes towards the floor, like maybe it's not enough to kill someone from like doing that, or like when you flip the coin out the door, it doesn't land near the body. Those are my guesses. Answer: she couldn't have jumped from any of the floors because when the detective went to each floor, all the windows were closed. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Next one is titled Love at a Funeral. A girl is at the funeral of her mother. She meets a nice guy that she didn't know who also was at the funeral and they hit it off. She was busy at the funeral and didn't have time to ask him for his number before he left. She tried really hard to track him down, but no one knew who he was or how to contact him. A few days later, her sister dies, and the police suspect it to be a murder. Who killed her sister? Give you a couple seconds to think. Okay, I have two theories. Either one, the guy, of course, like was the murderer. My other theory is maybe the girl is the murderer and like maybe she saw her sister at the funeral and saw the guy at the funeral and he's trying to track him down so he can kill her because nobody can knows that she was there or something. The answer is oh, she killed her sister. She was hoping that if someone else in her family died, the man that she met at her mother's funeral would show up again. An MIT professor called this the hardest puzzle ever. Fun fact. Oh, that's cold. That is cold. All right, the next one is called Stolen Ring. Oh, this is okay. This is also similar to the one. I just read it a little bit. Nicole went to the police to report that someone had stolen her vintage ring. When the police got to her house, noticed the window was broken, total mess, dirty footprints of the compound, and then Nicole was arrested for fraud because when they got to the crime scene, Nicole had to stage the break-in. Okay, that's the same thing as the bracelet one. Okay, the next one is called Thief at Sea. A Japanese ship was leaving the port and on its way to open sea. The captain went to go oil some parts of the ship and took his ring off so it wouldn't get damaged. He left it on the table next to his bunk. When he returned, it was missing. He had suspected 3 crew members could be guilty and asked them when they had been doing for 10 minutes that he'd been gone. Sorry, let me rephrase that. And they asked them what they had been doing for the 10 minutes that he had been gone. The cook said, I was in the kitchen preparing tonight's dinner. The engineer said, I was working in the engine room making sure everything was running smoothly. The seaman said, I was on the mast correcting the flag because someone had attached it upside down by mistake. The captain immediately knew who it was. How? Give you guys a couple seconds. All right, my guess is that it was the engineer, because if the captain had to oil parts of the ship, he'd probably be in the engine room and like giving like engine oil and stuff. So the engineer had to be lying. I'm like looking to see if there's like any other clues. But yeah, that's my guess. Let's see what it actually is. Oh, damn, I'm dumb. It was clearly the seaman. It was a Japanese ship, and a Japanese flag is white with a single red dot in the middle. It can't be hung upside down. Wow. That makes so much more sense. I was like, this is going to be a trick question. It really was. All right. This one I just read. I just skimmed it a little bit. It's the same thing. It's the murder at high school one, where the same mid-year testing. So we're going to skip over that. Okay, this one is again the pill one that we're going to do. Okay, this one's different. This one is called Honeymoon Mystery. A couple went to Hawaii for their honeymoon. Unfortunately, the husband returned home alone because his wife had died in a horrible boating accident. The police contacted the travel agent who booked the trip, he booked the trip with, and arrested him for murdering his wife. How did they know that he did it? Oh. Okay, I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Okay. Damn. This is hard. My only guess could be maybe they didn't go to Hawaii. Or they didn't book like a boating thing. Okay, let's see. Oh, the travel agent revealed that he had only booked a one-way ticket for his wife. Okay, that one I think was hard because that's not explicitly said in the text. So that one I think is really hard. And I think could have been like, oh, they didn't actually go to Hawaii, or oh, we didn't book a boating thing, so that can't be true. But that's good. A one-way ticket. That's good. Okay. This one, I'm skimming it again, and it's the Nicholas Science one. So we're gonna go ahead and skip over it. Okay. The next one is called Recorded Last Words. A man was found on the floor dead with a cassette recorder in one hand and a gun in the other. When the police arrived at the scene, they pressed play on the recorder. It was the man's voice. He said, "I have nothing else to live for. I can't go on," followed by the sound of a gunshot. After listening, the police knew that this was a murder and not a suicide. How? I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Okay. My guess it's because somebody had to press stop recording. Otherwise, like it would have, had a bunch of other like stuff behind it. Someone had to press stop recording, and if he committed suicide, he couldn't have pressed stop recording. If the dead man had killed himself, he wouldn't have been able to press the reverse button on the cassette recorder. Oh, that's another thing, yeah. Because back then when you recorded something, you had to. Well, actually, then again, yeah. I'm thinking, see, I didn't really have to use a cassette recorder that much. I'm a little bit younger. Like I was mainly in like the CD era. But with like the tape recorders, I remembered like you at least with mine, some there were some like more advanced ones, but the one that I had, it was you had to put the tape in whenever you want to record something, and then you always had to rewind back like in order to like go back to the beginning. So somebody would have had to reverse back to, the beginning of his text, and then like when the police pick it up they hear it, otherwise they just hear a bunch of dead noise. And like they'd have to reverse it themselves. All right. The next one is called Guilty in Court. A woman was in court for killing her husband. She said she wasn't guilty and that she dearly missed him. In the closing statement, the woman's lawyer stands up and says, "Her husband was just missing. Everyone look at the doors. He's going to walk through them in about 30 seconds." The entire jury stares at the doors, waiting for this woman's husband to walk through the doors. The lawyer and the woman stare at the jury. The lawyer concludes by saying, "See, if you were so sure she killed her husband, you wouldn't be watching that door." The jury immediately gave her a guilty verdict. Why? I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Okay, my assumption is because the woman was looking at the jury, and if the woman like knew that if a woman wanted her husband to come back, she would have also looked at the doors. Clearly, she didn't want the husband to come back, so she wasn't looking at the doors and hopeful. The answer is the woman was watching the jury and not the doors because she knew that that her husband wouldn't walk through them because she had killed him. If she had really missed him, like she said, she would have been watching the doors. All right. And that is all of our riddles. All right. Another thing that I might implement as another segment is a tip of the day that I wanted to, say. And my tip of the day is to go outside and do it safely in the pandemic. If you can drive or go on a car ride or something, just getting exposed to the daylight and being able to be somewhere that's not your own space, and just to and not to do something just because you have to commute somewhere, or something that you have to do just because, oh, I have to go to work, or like whatever it may be, but something just for you, even as little as like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just like going to like a local park, or going just to like some area, or going on like a fun drive. It can really, really help you in the long run. It can really help you feel better. And I want everyone to feel better as much as they can. All right, guys, that is it for today's episode. As a reminder, please make sure that you do like and subscribe to this podcast. You can see where this podcast is hosted online at anchor.fm/heyyoupod. That's anchor.fm/heyyoupod. Also, you can call me and leave a voicemail, and you'll get responses via text. If you want to connect with me, talk with me, you can do so by leaving a voicemail at 571-719-7658. And from that, I will get back to you via text message. You can't text me directly, unfortunately. It's weird like that. But I'll get back to you via text message, and we can relate and talk with each other. If you have some struggles, you want some advice, if there's something that you want to do, or like something that you just need to vent out, feel free to text me about it. Also, if you're looking for any sort of advice or anything else, please feel free to leave a voicemail stating, whatever advice you think you need, or send a voice memo or audio message for those of you that are international listeners, and send it as an attachment in an email to heyyoupod@gmail.com. That is heyyoupod@gmail.com. We also have YouTube channels. You can subscribe to my main YouTube channel, youtube.com/ThatSambaKid. That's youtube.com/ThatSambakid. And we also now have our podcast channel. And please make sure that you do subscribe to the podcast channel, and it can really help. We don't have that custom URL yet because we don't have enough subscribers yet. So if we can get enough subscribers, we can get that custom URL channel. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in for today's episode. It was really, really great, doing this until I get all the relates with you guys, and I can't wait for the next one. All right, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Keep dancing with the devil, but he doesn't have a back.